And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the story behind the story, the 8th day, March. The Festival of Purim is indeed upon us. Oh, I have received so much information from, or feedback, I should say, from my show yesterday and my blog on Netanyahu. I like some of the responses. Quack, quack, duck season is open. Well, duck season is closed, actually, but golly, it's time for America to wake up. I keep saying this over and over and over again. Very few people are listening, but you know what? Those that are listening are making a difference. I want you to remember one thing. The definition of insanity is simply this: doing the same things over and over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been duped by Dr. Ron Paul. You have been duped by Mr. Alex Jones and InfoWars. You have been duped by the mainstream media for at least the last 50 years. And if you can't see that, you just keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again and hoping for a different result. In other words, just keep on being insane. That's your choice. That's your choice. I have a lot of personality faults. Just ask my enemies. I have a lot of enemies. I have people that either love me or hate me. There's not too much middle ground. Those that love me, love me. Those that hate me want me dead and buried so they can pee on my grave. That's okay, because that means I'm right on point. The people, you see, that are paid by the liars, that have their whole money stream, their whole life income paid for by these Edomite liars, hate me with a passion. That's good, because they are the enemy. What America needs is simply this. It's really quite a simple formula. You need a new paradigm of reality. You need, again, to understand that the system is the problem. The system is designed to keep you in slavery, to keep you in mind control, to keep you from thinking outside the box. The system itself is the problem, and until we, the people, change the system, we are merely contributing to the insanity. And here's the simple facts, folks. Look at who is part of the establishment and system. Look who is getting funding. I've said this for years and years about Alex Jones and company and others that I could name but don't feel the need to. With Genesis Radio and others. Folks, you gotta... Oh, yeah, it's an unwritten rule somewhere that talk show hosts aren't supposed to hammer other talk show hosts. I don't buy into that. I do not buy into that. Look who controls the likes of Rush Limbaugh. Look who, again, controls Alex Jones. Stratford, ladies and gentlemen. Do your own research. Do your own homework. You'll see what I'm talking about. Investigate Stratford, strategic forecasting. You'll be surprised and shocked to find out the operation is based in Austin, Texas. Just follow through. Who gets funding from this Israeli Mossad operation? Where does Alex Jones get all of his funding for his broadcasts and his DVDs? And, he's very well off financially. It's not just from donations, ladies and gentlemen. If it was, Joe McNeil would be a millionaire today. The micro effect would not be scrambling to make every month's payments as due. Stratfor, strategic forecasting. Folks, Dr. Ron Paul is part of the problem. Jeff Rentz had an interesting show last night with Webster Tarpley. Got to give Webster Tarpley some credit. This man knows how to research. He shared with the listening audience on Rent's radio hour last night some of the speeches that are in the congressional record concerning Ron Paul and his view on globalism. Yeah. Can you spell wolf in sheep's clothing? Can you spell controlled opposition, ladies and gentlemen? Can you spell strat for strategic forecasting? The good doctor never passed my smell test back in 2007, though he said all the right things, the rhetoric was there. The most important question to me was, what will you do to tell the truth about September 11th? The response to me was, tell me all I needed to know, ladies and gentlemen. It's Al-Qaeda. It's a foreign attack on America, but we got what Paul's staff told me. We got what we deserved. You see, we shouldn't have military bases in the Middle East. We shouldn't be involved in Middle Eastern politics. So Al-Qaeda, through Osama bin Laden's agents, come and attack America. You see, no, that's just flat out lying through his teeth. Now, again, Dr. Ron Paul is an educated man. He's a smart man. He's a medical doctor. He's not stupid. You see, you can give people the benefit of the doubt because of ignorance for just so long. No, you see, he's assuming his role very well as simply a pressure relief valve. You see, if there's nobody, think about it, if there's nobody like Ron Paul in the mix, the conservatives' darling, there's a real chance of a Tea Party movement, a tea kettle erupting and blowing up and causing some real problems. So the Illuminati gives you a release valve. A guy that says all the right things and votes this way and that way, but down deep in his very heart and soul, he is part of the globalist system. Now, I know that declaration causes anger and hostility to those who have been sucked into the lie. I know that. I know that because I was part of being sucked into that in 2007, too. I sent the man what I thought was pretty substantial contributions. I should have asked the questions before I sent cash, but be that as it may, so the question becomes, who do we vote for? Who do we support? We just sit back and do nothing? That's not what they want to. No, see, that's exactly the point I want to make. You cannot keep doing the same things over and over and over again and expecting a different result. You cannot put your money and your spirit and soul behind a member of the system. In other words, don't support anybody with tenure in the Congress and or Senate. You cannot, because you see, if they're truly anti-globalists, if they are truly for America first and the people first, I guarantee you they're not going to be there long, if at all. The political system itself is corrupt and broken. Folks, if Ron Paul was the courageous hero, the knight in shining armor, the white knight, he would not only have never been reelected, or even elected in the first place, he'd probably be shot and killed by now. You know that's the reality. You know in your heart that's true. And there are those that will say, oh, you're just flat out part of the problem trying to dismantle Ron Paul. No, ladies and gentlemen. No, I'm not. He knows he's not supposed to win. You see, it feeds into the conservative effort that, everybody's against us, there's a fix-in. Yeah, but it's a bigger fix than you're looking at. It doesn't matter. The system is corrupt. You see, they control the candidates. They appoint a president. They don't elect a president. So that becomes self-evident. Year after year after year, the pendulum seems to swing from the progressive and liberal camp to the conservative camp. It swings back and forth and back and forth. And you know what? One year the conservatives have control of the Congress, and you know what happens then? We get into senseless wars, and we have catastrophes like September 11th. Then we see the senseless slaughter of people in Iraq and Afghanistan, all based on a lie, mind you. And so the pendulum swings back to change. You can't believe it. Get these neocons, these Zionists out of office. See, more of the same. Again, it's just the fact of the matter is the system is broken. And until people begin to understand that and a new paradigm shift of reality hits the American sheeple, nothing will happen. The insanity will continue. We'll continue to keep pouring time, effort, and money into a corrupt system and thinking falsely that we'll have a different result. Folks, this is why I'm focusing on the root of the problem. Who is Edom, Esau? Who is Christian Israel? Now, I understand that very topic has got a black ball next to it, an asterisk next to it, saying this is hate. This is neo-Nazi garbage. This is Ku Klux Klan, white supremacy. And again, that is, by design as well. Who controls the Ku Klux Klan? Who formed the Klan? Who is really behind the Aryan nations, the skinhead movement? The money behind it, folks. Yeah, you guessed it. The Edomites, controlling both camps. They'll take this truth of Christianity, you see, and twist it for their own benefit. They'll make it a hate group, a really, truly hate group that goes out and burns down churches and lynches African Americans. Yeah, that's who's doing it, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely hate and bloodlust. But see, the truth is still the truth. Edom is masquerading as Israel today. That is the nexus of evil on this planet, ladies and gentlemen. This is indeed the root cause of everything anti-Christian. It's the root cause of Satanism. It's the very root of evil in this country. If you want to have peace on earth, goodwill toward men, if you want to have Christian ideals, you darn well better wake up and understand that this little nation-state of Israel is the nation of Edom, and it is a curse and a hiss word to the entire world. That's not True Watt saying this, ladies and gentlemen. This is Yeshua, the words of Jesus Christ. I keep saying this. I keep hammering this. I'll keep hammering it until this station is off the air again and or True Watt is no more. Jesus Christ cursed this nation state, this house, this bloodline of Edom. Jesus Christ in his final benediction before the events of the crucifixion day. He wept with a heavy heart as he turned upon the Edomite stronghold of Jerusalem and said, "Behold, thy house is left unto the desolate." Thy house, ladies and gentlemen, the house is the bloodline. The bloodline of Edom, not the bloodline of Israel through David. The bloodline is Edom, the Babylonians who were masquerading, even at his time, as the high priest of the Sanhedrin, the 70. The infiltration, you see, of the Edomites into the culture of Judea is well documented by Pastor Eli James. The infiltration 300 years before the advent of Christ, the infiltration into King Herod Agrippa. Folks, that's history books. That's the study and history of Josephus. The hated Josephus. Hated because, you see, he tells the truth. And he's hated by the Edomites, whether they're Catholic Edomites or those of the synagogue of Satan. Same difference. Roman Catholicism, the cardinals are Edomites by bloodline, as are the Jews who say they are Jews but are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. World news today, ladies and gentlemen, this is where it all fits in. If you have that central truth, if you have that central knowledge, first and foremost in your brain, then suddenly headlines in the nation and the world suddenly start to fit together. It makes sense now. We have this little blip here in the world news in the Salt Lake Tribune newspaper. Headlines under Africa and the Middle East. Ethiopians to go to Israel. Imagine this. Jerusalem. Jewish American activists today are in Ethiopia to escort remnants of one of the oldest communities in the Jewish diaspora to Israel. Now, this is very important to watch, folks, because I'm going to predict right ahead, right now, that the Ashkenazi Khazars that are in control of Israel there'll be a terrorist attack against these people right here. They'll blame it again on Hamas or some other Arab terrorist, but it'll be Mossad that attacks these. They can't have these coming forward because you know why? I'll tell you why. They'll do a DNA analysis. DNA structures will show the DNA of these people being 100% different than the Ashkenazis claiming to be Israel. Here's the story. This group of true Jews, these are really the true tribe of Israel through Dan. These are the Danites, folks. These Ethiopian Jews trace their ancestors. They have the genealogical trees. They trace them to the ancient Israelite tribe of Dan. This is out of Ethiopia. These are the true Jews, ladies and gentlemen. And again, but the term Jew is so bogus. The term Jew, you got to remember, is a modern 18th century word. Edomite translators, Roman Catholic translators, is one that came up with the term Jew for one reason. That's to obfuscate and to hide reality. That, you see, the term Jew can either mean one of three things. They should leave the original translation the way it should have been, which simply has one of three meanings. It's either a citizen of Judea, which could be of the true tribe of Israel. There were, indeed, Galileans and others who were bloodline Israel. Absolutely. Jesus Christ and his family, and Joseph of Arimathea and others were that bloodline. They had their genealogical information, but you see, during the Maccabean structure, there was a lot of mixing of Idumeans into the culture. Idumeans, Iduemeans. The Idumeans were the Edomites. The Idumeans were also the Greek and Hebrew word was just translated loosely as Jews. Do you see the mix-up? Oh, but here, these Ethiopian Israelites, or the tribe of Dan, they have the original Torah, the Pentateuch. They have all their books because they are truly of the tribe of Dan. Now they're going to Israel to be streamlined in. Thousands of descendants of these Ethiopian Israelites, I'm going to call them Israelites because they are truly that. They're not Jews in that sense of the word. They are the Falash Mura, a group of 70 Falash Mura preparing for the journey to Israel. Ethiopian Jews trace their ancestry to the ancient Israelite tribe of Dan. But see, they're going to go back there because they are the true bloodline. I think they're taking their lives in their own hands big time. And I say this because I have a very rare book in my possession. It's priceless book. Trust me, the Edomite Jesuits want in the worst way to have this book destroyed. The book is simply called The History of the Church, the Christian Church, the history of the Church in Ethiopia. Published, ladies and gentlemen, off the English presses in the year 1695. I have this book in my library. It's worth to me $1 million. It's the original text, 1695. In this book, this is the story. This is written by a Catholic missionary to Ethiopia who went there in the 17th century, 1660s. And this man named Geddes, last name of Geddes, Geddes, there uncovered historical documents and artifacts that totally convinced him that the Catholic Church story from the very beginning was a damned lie. So he very quietly gathered all the information and documentation he could, then received political asylum, if you will, from the Protestant camp in England. And there he published this incredible book, The History of the Church in Ethiopia. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, see, you look at Ethiopia, where it's located, west of the Holy Land, west of the Middle East. You see, this is a very important port, because out of Ethiopia, across the Mediterranean, you then can go up into all of Europe. You sail to the west on the Mediterranean, you get to Spain, Hisparia. You go around that, follow the landmass, and then you have an ocean trip to the United Kingdom, the islands of the United Kingdom. Folks, from Ethiopia, from the port of Ethiopia, is where some of the very early true Israelites embarked to the lands northward by ocean voyage. That's the history and that's the story of the dispersion of the 10 tribes. The 10 tribes, ladies and gentlemen, are the northern Norsemen of Iceland, of England, of Scandinavia, the fair-haired, auburn-haired, blue-eyed, fair-skinned nation of Israel, so-called Anglo-Saxons, ladies and gentlemen. The Anglos became the English, the kings of England, before again they were taken over by the Edomite impostors. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the story behind the story. First half hour, but come right back with more. The behind the story continues. It is the macro. Oh my goodness, the story behind the story continues indeed. Front page news today in the Salt Lake Tribune. I wanted to spend a little time on this today. More information coming out as the LDS Church tries to protect its image, the degree of stifling whistleblowers, all because, again, they got to make sure their man, Mittens Romney, gets the bid. But again, they don't need to worry. The church doesn't need to worry because the fix is in. He's the man. He's the man. He has assembled all the Israeli Defense Fund and forces, IDF forces, that he needs to make sure he's their huge puppet. Don't need to worry. Mormon leaders, he's in. He's fixed. It's fixed. So I think this is kind of funny, but it's, again, the headlines is LDS Church blocks whistleblowers access to proxy baptism data. Wow. Picture of whistleblower Helen Radke. She just basically has access to the LDS Church archives for genealogical histories, and she just basically reports on some funny things that she finds. Now, I reported on this myself. There was quite a story back in 2001, 2002, made some ripples in Utah for quite a while. Didn't much go outside of Utah, but The story was simply that a whistleblower in the church archives had released a statement with complete and total evidence that in the Los Angeles Mormon LDS temple, proxy baptisms and endowment work and even sealings had been done for some of the most notorious, most evil people ever walk the earth. Kid you not. There was a story that all the work had been done for Vlad Dracul, the Prince of Wallachia, the first stake president is what I called him, because he would just take anybody and everybody that opposed him and run their bodies through a sharpened stake from the back side to the front, and then he would put these stakes with these corpses all around his little nation state of Wallachia. Well documented, ladies and gentlemen, this incredible sight. Imagine tens of thousands of decomposing and skeletal remains on these stakes all around the little nation of Wallachia. Yeah, the effect of this was beyond terror to the people viewing it. It's just absolutely stunning what was going on here. They called him Vlad the Impaler. Vlad the Impaler. The other thing he would like to do, there's actually woodcuts, carvings, documenting what went on. He would have feasts. He would have, yes, ladies and gentlemen, human blood and human flesh being consumed by him and his bloodline. So what in the world is the Mormon Church doing approving Vlad Dracul, Vlad Tsepes, Tsepes? His work is all done. His proxy baptisms are all done. That's the first part of this story. The other part is Adolf Hitler being, I kid you not, this is incredible story. Adolf Hitler being baptized in the Mormon temple, the endowment being done, the washing and anointings, and then, ladies and gentlemen, I kid you not, the story explained that he was ordained posthumously into the Melchizedek priesthood in a special temple ceremony, and then sealed to his mistress Eva Braun. Now, after that story leaked, and then of course there were other documents showing how the work of Rasputin, the Satanists involved in the Bolsheviks, with the takeover and overthrow of the Tsar, the very dark Rasputin. All these infamous people, their Mormon temple work being completed for them. The problem I had with this is that right at this time, you see, I was on the outs with Mormons. I had received notice that I was putting my life in danger by exposing the truths about the Mountain Meadows massacre. 140 men, women, and children massacred, and the cover-up continuing to this day. The information I had was very embarrassing to the LDS Church. So here's a member in good standing, just simply telling the truth, and it's not supposed to happen. So here I am, sitting in front of my stake presidency, being threatened with excommunication, because, you see, they let me know that man, if you're excommunicated, you lose your priesthood. You lose everything. You're worse than it. You're in outer darkness. See, there is no real hell for Mormons. They don't believe in a fiery pit of brimstone. No, it wasn't a matter of being sent to hell. It was a matter of being condemned to outer darkness, to be alone in outer darkness forever, for a time and all eternity, to lose my family relations. See, all this is the threats they use to keep the Mormon faithful in line. You'll lose your priesthood. You'll lose your family. You'll lose everything, because once you've embraced Mormonism and gone to the temple and taken your covenants, if you deny them now, you'll be cast into outer darkness. That's what I was faced with. My response to them was, let's see. Let me see if I understand this correctly, brethren. I'm to be cast out in outer darkness because simply I tell the truth. You won't debate my documentation, Mountain Meadows Massacre and other problems. You won't debate it. You just want to ignore it. I'm here to tell you it's factual history. It's proof. And the church needs to be men, so to speak, and stand up and admit that they screwed up. They need to pay compensation to the survivors, the ancestors, descendants of those killed. That's all I was asking for. You know, it's clear the church made a big, big mistake with that. That's all I was asking for. Hey, just pony up and tell the truth for once. Amazing concept. Tell the truth. Account for the hundreds of thousands of dollars stolen from that wagon train. You see that this emigrant wagon train that was destroyed, the people killed in southern Utah's mountain meadows, was the richest wagon train ever to cross the plains. These were landed gentry. These were wealthy landowners of the great state of Arkansas. They were very educated, smart people, and very well off. They sold plantations and estates. The total collective strong box was over $120,000 in gold and silver coin. This was the ripest plum ever to come across the plains. People don't realize that fact. For years and years, the official Mormon LDS church stand was that the Paiute Indians did it all. Nobody really knows what happened to that huge amount of money. There's been many people going out looking all around the area of Mountain Meadows for lost treasure. The $100,000+ is well documented. Many, many treasure hunters were looking in vain for it. Because why? It wasn't the Paiutes. The Paiutes were just duped by the Mormons. They were their allies, but it was an absolute Mormon massacre. And that strong box, as well as the horses, these Kentucky thoroughbred horses, they were all disposed of by Brigham Young personally. The wealth was incredible. September 11th, 9/11, the year 1857, folks. That is absolutely fact. So my point is, I'm exposing all of this history that I uncovered, again, because of uncovering personal correspondence in 1857 with one of my maternal ancestors. I put this all in a chest of papers that I had received and was going through and found the evidence. So I say, the point is, the LDS Church wanted to keep the secret. See, they don't want to tell the truth. So I'm being threatened with excommunication for apostasy, threatened to be cast into outer darkness. Oh, my goodness. Because you tell the truth. That's what I told my priesthood leaders. What a bunch of joke that is. I said, look, you're going to threaten me with being put in outer darkness? when the church in its infinite wisdom baptizes Adolf Hitler, Hermann Göring, Heinrich Himmler, and others, and this is all part of the documentation. I showed to them, I with it in their face. I said, look, here is the documentation. And the story was that in the Los Angeles temple, when Adolf Hitler and his henchmen's work were done, there was a spiritual visitation of Der Führer accepting the work. Whoa, ladies and gentlemen, I kid you not. This is a huge story, and just, again, if you Google search, you'll probably find the history. Adolf Hitler, Los Angeles temple. Just Google it in. I bet you'll find it. So my question was, since this whole feel-good story that, Adolf Hitler is now a Mormon, he's baptized, he has his endowments, he's been sealed in the temple to Eva Braun, he's even been ordained a priest, posthumously an elder, he's been given the term elder. I says, are you kidding me that my questioning is 10 times worse than Adolf Hitler's efforts? Adolf Hitler, according to Mormon theology now, is sitting there in the celestial kingdom having a cup of tea with Joseph Smith, and Truott is to be cast into outer darkness because I simply want to tell the truth. Are you kidding me? My goodness, this is ridiculous. So is the insanity of the Mormon faith, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot make this insanity up. So here is this story. Church blocks the whistleblower's access to proxy baptism data. Quote, a technological crackdown telegraphed by Mormon leaders has effectively blocked the preeminent whistleblower of controversial proxy baptisms from accessing the LDS Church's database that chronicles so-called baptisms for the dead. LDS officials defend the move, saying it helps prevent overzealous Mormons and mischief makers from violating church policy by submitting the names of prominent Jewish figures such as Anne Frank and Daniel Pearl, both discovered on the baptism for the dead rolls in recent weeks. Now, let's just look at this paragraph right here. To prevent overzealous Mormons. They don't want Mormons to be overzealous. They don't want Mormons to give 110%. They just want them to be about, get about 75, 80%. Just pay us your tithing, come to church, follow what we tell you, and shut your mouth and quit thinking it's what they really want. They don't want you to be overzealous. See, the reason why Mormons are overzealous in this thing is they love to be able to take a name, to have it approved through this system, and then go to the temple themselves and do this name for this famous, righteous, wonderful person. See, that's part of the Mormon mythology. So many times they say that these good people will physically appear as ghosts in the temple. You think this is an exaggeration? I'm telling you it's not. Growing as a child, as a young man, just over 12 years old, the temple for the first time to perform these baptisms for the dead, that is ingrained immediately into these young children. Be alert with your spiritual eyes. Because a lot of times you'll see the people that you're being baptized for appear and in the baptismal font or on the side. Many stories are voluminous. See, and if you don't see these apparitions, ghosts, well, golly, you're probably not righteous enough. If the problem is you see, you're not seeing these spirits, these ancestral dead. I kid you not, folks. Well, after abandoning that insanity, that Satanism, really, I understand the Bible so much clearer. The Bible is very clear that the dead are dead. They do not come back and appear as spirits. No. Those that do are what's called familiar spirits. Another word for familiar spirits is demon, folks. The fallen angels of Lucifer have the ability to come and appear as a departed spirit, and they will. You see, Joseph Smith, the founder of Mormonism, boy, he was the ultimate authority on dead people. In fact, the Doctrine and Covenants of Mormonism talks about how to discern whether a spirit is good or evil. Joseph Smith explains it, basically saying that either it's the spirit of the devil, or it's an evil spirit, or it's the body or the soul of a just man made whole or perfect. So you offer to shake the spirit's hand, and if the spirit refuses, then you know it's a good spirit. If the spirit reaches forth and you feel flesh and bones, you feel something physical there, then it's a resurrected being and it's from God. Please, please, please. It's all a demonic entity, ladies and gentlemen. The way in which God speaks to man is through night visions and dreams. You meet the individual halfway. In this dimensional plane, the only spirits that have access are the demonic entities of Lucifer, the god of this earth. And so many people are deceived by this in Mormonism. And I explained all this. This is well documented in Jonathan Ray's book. He actually shows documentation of this fact. Best story of all, the best example he gives is the woman who got word that her son was killed in Vietnam. So went to a charismatic Christian group, and there they brought forth this spirit of her dead son, and to the point where she actually felt his physical body. It was that powerful. They embraced. She felt him. And then a few weeks later, the son appeared at her doorstep. The son was not killed at all in Vietnam. It was a big error. So she asked, well, who in the world was this entity that knew everything about her son, because he talked to her and told her only things that their son could know. Folks, indeed, the demonic entities are there to deceive even the very elect. And I'm telling you, Mormonism is this deception, and the tie, of course, is to Israel and Mittens Romney. Make no mistake, This is all by design. Mitt Romney has been groomed for this for the last at least 30 years. Make no mistake, this is what the agenda is. We'll be back after these messages. Top of the hour, don't go away. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Back to the story behind the story. Second hour, top of the hour. Yes, indeed, time for America's favorite game show, America in Jeopardy. Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, it is all just a big, high-stakes poker game. It's all just a game. This is all an illusion, ultimately. So here we go. Here's the America in Jeopardy answer and question for the day. He is indeed came on the alternative information scene in the year 1996, the same year as Stratfor Global Intelligence began their operations in the exact same town, in the exact same neighborhood in Austin, Texas. Okay, that's the question. The answer is who is Alex Jones? Ladies and gentlemen, InfoWars, Alex Jones. Everybody that writes for Alex Jones, the last day I spent considerable time going through the archives of Alex Jones. You know what I found out? I'm going to have to write this down because it'll blow your mind. It just confirmed to me, without a shadow of a doubt, Alex Jones is working for Strategic Forecasting, Stratfor Global Intelligence. I'll tell you why. Every single article put out by Watson and others and touted and trumped and spewed out on the airwaves by Agent Alex Jones, it originated just days before in Stratfor's forecasts. Everything. There's not a single thing I could find that was unique and original from Alex Jones's InfoWars camp. So what do you make of this, ladies and gentlemen? It's completely clear that he is not only an agent, but the gatekeeper. He's a gatekeeper of information. He is to identify those people who are telling the truth about Israel, which is Edom. Because you see, Stratfor is above all else global disinformation and gatekeeping. They want to tell you, they'll tell you 90% of the truth, but the 10% that they will keep from you and twist around will always make Israel to be the hero, never the perpetrator of the problem. And thus, these international banksters will just absolutely keep their power by, again, telling the truth but deflecting the whole truth away from them. That's how they operate. That's what they do. You have Len Horowitz and Sherry Kane are two of just most of the most classic examples. They are out there spouting off accusations against myself and people like Anthony Hilger. I never met him. I don't know him. But if they are attacking him and people like Ted Gunderson, who I did know very well, God rest his soul, saying they're all disinformation Satanists. They accuse me of being a Satanist tied to Anton LaVey, for heaven's sakes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So they spew all this truth about Satanism in America, but then twist it away to keep the evidence from being pointed to them. Really, what's the 528 hertz? It's the frequency tied to the devil's number 6. It's 6 times 88, ladies and gentlemen. And all the while, I haven't written any books, I haven't done any Hollywood publicity stunts. I do it very quietly, quoting 728, the number 7 times 104. Oh my goodness, folks. Stratfor, global intelligence. If I can just say one thing today, if you don't understand this, Alex Jones has got some real explaining to do, and I hope everybody listening to the show today will dig deep, like I've just done. Track again, go back into Joseph or what Paul Watson's InfoWars posts, compare them with the posts put out by Stratfor. Look at what's being said by Stratfor first. Now see how it's being completely echoed all the way down the line since 1996. They both come out, began operations at the same time. Stratfor has got deep, deep, deep Illuminati pockets, folks. Big time deep. January 20th of 2012, the Stratfor people put out their annual forecast for 2012. 2012 annual forecast. This is a must-read. This truly is a must-read. Go to Stratfor's website, stratfor.com. Click on their 2012 forecast. Now, for whatever reason, this is a pay-per-view type of website. You have to have an annual subscription and a code to get into it. But now, for whatever reason, they're saying temporarily offering all content for free, giving it all away freely. Go back and, as I've done, pull up the archives of their weekly reports, and I just randomly pulled a dozen or so weekly reports going back for the last 10 years. Then I went back and did a veritable search, was inserting the name InfoWars or Alex Jones. Either Alex Jones is a paid subscriber to Stratfor, or he's an agent. Either way, this is where he's getting his information. There is no doubt about it. Then it explains, you see, why he's disruptive, why he'll go into people that are talking about Israel being the perpetrators of September 11th, and shot him down with his bullhorn, be disruptive and angry and hostile. Won't shut his mouth and listen to what other people have to say. Drops the F-bomb and other potty-mouth expletives any chance he gets. This man is an agent provocateur. You want to really investigate Alex Jones, go in and demand financials. Find out where this guy gets his money and who pays him. Be very interesting. Annual forecast 2012 by Stratfor. Quote, there are periods when the international system undergoes radical shifts in a short time. Well, that first sentence is pregnant, isn't it, folks? The last such period was 1989 to 1991. During that time, the Soviet Empire collapsed. Or did it really? It just changed forms is all. The Japanese economic miracle ended. The Maastricht Treaties, creating contemporary Europe, was signed. In other words, the euro was brought into time. China is a market economy dominated by an unchallenged Communist Party and so on. Fundamental components of the international system shifted radically, changing the rules for the next 20 years. Yeah, it was all getting more, it's gotten more and more global, hasn't it, folks? More centralized. We are today in a similar cycle when it began in 2008. Yeah, change you can believe in, right? And it's still playing out. In this period, the European Union has stopped functioning as it did 5 years ago and has yet to see its new form defined. China has moved into a difficult social and economic phase, with a global recession severely affecting its export-oriented economy and its products increasingly uncompetitive due to inflation. Now that's another sentence that's important to understand. Because you see, when that happens to a country like China, the best solution is war. Oh yes. Quote, the U.S. withdrawal from Iraq has created opportunities for an Iranian assertion of power that could change the balance of power in the region. My goodness. January 10th, 2012. Our forecast, they write, for 2012 is framed by the idea that we are in the midst of what we might call a generational shift in the way the world works. The processes are still underway, and we will therefore have to consider the future of Europe, China, and the Middle East in some detail before drawing a conclusion. So therefore, the 2012 forecast is unique in that it is not a forecast for 1 year in a succession of years. Rather, get this, folks, it is a year in which the individual forecasts point to a new generational reality and a very redefinition of how the world works. 2012 may not be the conclusion of this transformative process, but neither was 1991 the conclusion. However, just as 1991 was the year in which it became clear that the old world of the Cold War no longer functioned, 2012 is the year in which it will become clear that the post-Cold War world has come to an end, being replaced by changed players and changed dynamics. Folks, Stratfor, strategic forecasting. The question needs to be asked simply, who are we? Stratfor talks in this forecast. They use the term we constantly all through it. So you have to understand who Stratfor is. Who are the we? Let's analyze that, please. And let's again keep in mind this is the system. This is the very face of the Antichrist system. So, you want to know what where Alex Jones gets all of his information? Well, here it is, folks. Let's go to the source and find out who they are, shall we? Now, you have to, again, read between the lines here. You have to go from historical truths and just kind of piece it together, okay? Let's do that. Let's look at the year in which Stratfor, this global intelligence information company, was formed. 1996. When was Alex Jones and InfoWars created? Same year, 1996. Stratfor has published a daily, folks, intelligence briefing since it began operating in 1996, daily. Oh my goodness. Look at where it began, 1996. It rose to prominence, and again, this is you have to understand what is intelligence versus news. News, you see, as I said before, is reporting what happened. News is simply the reporting of past events. Breaking news is simply what's breaking right now. The intelligence is simply telling you what will be in the newspapers tomorrow or next week or even next year. Global intelligence company. Let me tell you another little secret, folks. Intelligence today is most definitely linked, and it has been since 1996. This is the year also in which new computer technology came out with artificial intelligence. You see, the beast computer, the central computer of Mossad, the agency, CIA, NSA, they're just arms of the same Mossad octopus. The artificial intelligence computer came online the same year, actually a year before that, 1995. Now you see they have a model. The importance of Alex Jones and other people are to basically not only take the reports, but submit their own reports to Stratfor, which Stratfor then injects into this master computer. So you have to have information in to have information come out. You need to have accurate intelligence, you've got to have data coming in. Data in, data out. Garbage in, garbage out. So they have to report back on the tenor of everything, including people like Truott that are out doing seminars and lectures on Edomites. They have to know all this, so they put them in to the central computer, and out comes a daily, a weekly, a monthly projection of the progress of the New World Order. Do you understand, folks, what this is all about now? So Stratfor publishes a daily intelligence briefing. And their agents get it first. They're agents who are on the payroll. And I'm telling you, until proven otherwise, I am publicly declaring Alex Jones to be a Stratfor agent. An agent provocateur, doing his job, collecting data, disseminating what they want to have disseminated based on the prescription of an artificial intelligence-driven mainframe computer. We talk about pawns in the game, ladies and gentlemen. Talk about prostituted pawns. There you have it. Kosovo, you see, in 1999, NATO was bombing the crud out of Kosovo. But predicting all of this was our good friends at Stratfor. George Friedman, the founder, the CIO, and also the CEO, but the CIO is the Chief Intelligence Officer. And yes, indeed, folks, WikiLeaks is part of this Stratfor. Where do you think Julian Assange gets his information from? How do you think he gets access the way he has? Stratfor, you see, has a subscription service that the goyim that know can subscribe, and they don't get it as fast as the agents get it, but they can still get it a day or so later. And it's pretty good for, if you wanted to make some money in the stock market or the bond market or the Forex market, for heaven's sakes, get some intelligence and be able to put into a computer model your own self, and you can pretty much forecast trends, short sell, or whatever you need to do to make a lot of money based on intelligence. Make no mistake, this is also part of Goldman Sachs and others who are skilled at shorting the market and manipulating events in the stock and bond market. That's, again, the modus operandi. How do you think Rothschild got a fortune? He got intelligence. He knew before, a full 24 hours before the financial markets knew. He knew that Wellington had defeated Napoleon. He had intelligence. He had advanced knowledge of what the news would be. See. Well, let me tell you something, folks. This goes again to transhumanism, and it goes to the spiritual heart of the matter. They're the greatest galactic intelligence sources, Jesus of Nazareth, Yeshua. He knows the end from the beginning. His prophecies are in stone. They are in the rescue plan called the New Testament. They are in the rescue plan of the Old Testament. The problem is, very few people are listening to the intelligence review called the Holy Bible. They're not listening, or worse, they're misinterpreting and lying about the content of the intelligence reviews. See, that's the other part of the problem here. Stratfor subscribers list, according to the entry in, again, the Edomite-controlled Wikipedia. Stratfor subscribers list was confidential, but the company's publicity list includes most Fortune 500 companies and international government agencies. Oh! The hacker group Operation Anti-SEC claimed to have made it public on December 24, 2011. However, Stratfor denied that the hack recovered the client list. Currently, Stratfor's products are oriented around individual subscriptions, of which the so-called premium paid product is the most comprehensive in content offered. Other packages such as Global Vantage are tailored to appeal to commercial or governmental customers. Dr. George Friedman emails Stratfor's analysis with, quote, a guaranteed response within 24 hours Monday through Friday. Wow. Now, WikiLeaks announced the initial publishing of over 5 million of the company's emails just last February 26th, 2012. The hacker group Anonymous has claimed to have provided WikiLeaks with the data. George Friedman has counterclaimed and said, no, these emails have all been forged or altered by WikiLeaks or Anonymous. It's not true what they're saying in here, but Stratfor not validate either. Why is this important? Because you see, the same date, February 26th, is when the public allegations began to surface on the web. Alex Jones is a Stratfor agent. And the claims because there's communications between InfoWars, Alex Jones, Paul Watson, etc., and the database, which was hacked by Anonymous. Now they're saying, oh, no. Covering, you see, covering their A. They don't want you to know, see, because this is an intelligence industrial complex, military industrialist. It's an intelligence industrial complex. Oh, folks, wake up. Wake up. And I gotta tell you, you got people like Bob Chapman and the International Forecaster, all these people that claim to have all of this intelligence forecasting coming forth. How do you know? How do you know they're not getting the same things from Herr Friedman, George Friedman? Let's talk about George Friedman when we come back from the break. Let's give you his background, curriculum vitae, and let you make your own decisions. Don't go away. This is the story behind the story. Indeed, this is uncovering the Pandora's box today, no doubt about it. Thanks for listening. We'll be right back after these messages. Stay tuned. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, oh, golly. SHAPE. It's shaping up interesting. SHAPE, S-H-A-P-E, the Supreme Headquarters, Allied Powers Bureau. Central Command, while NATO military forces. Okay, SHAPE. Look at who the SHAPE shifters are. SHAPE shifting is what we're talking about here in the term of intelligence, folks. And as you look at the heads of SHAPE, S-H-E-P-E, you see that they are of a specific tribe. Surprise, surprise. You see they are linked at the hip to something called the Mossad agency. The agency is what it's called. Stratfor's George Friedman is one of their operatives. You see, you got to follow the train, the chain. Okay, well, Alex Jones, he's just an employee. He's not the boss. Alex Jones is married to an Edomite Israeli Jewess, Zionist in the extreme. Yeah, Ecolo Blue, one of the main sponsors of the Alex Jones show, is all owned by the same tribe. Okay, that's all well and good, but let's go deeper. Let's go and see something else. And I hope this is not the case, but I did verify that people very close to Alex Jones and there in Austin include Tex Mars, and I hope that he's not a part of this. I truly do. Because there's nobody else out there blowing the whistle louder and longer on this tribe than Tex Mars. It's just funny that Tex Mars forms the marriage of Alex Jones and his wife. And I don't see anything else but just maybe he's free and independent. But let's talk about George Friedman. George Friedman, according to his curriculum vitae, his resume, he was born to the parents of what they called Holocaust survivors, whatever that means, in Hungary. Hungary, ladies and gentlemen, the Khazar, Hungary, Czechoslovakia region of ancient Wallachia, Hungary, Bulgaria, all of that is Khazarian strongholds. Khazar land, folks. His family fled Hungary when he was a child to escape the communist regime there, settling first in a refugee camp for refugees in Austria, before finally being able to immigrate to the United States. During this time frame, after the end of World War II, folks, so many of these bloodline Edomites came to America. That's fine. Did it legally, did it to the right channels. Let's see what they're doing now, again, for power and prestige is pretty much obvious. He focused on Marxism. Before forming strategic forecasting, Stratfor, Friedman spent almost 20 years in academia. He was a political science teacher at Dickinson College. But listen to this, folks. He also had access and regularly briefed and debriefed senior top commanders, the U.S. Army War College and the RAND Corporation, the SHAPE Technical Center, which is the headquarters of NATO in Europe, ladies and gentlemen. In other words, he's just as well connected to the Illuminati elite as he could possibly get. Sets up shop in Austin, Texas in 1996 at the exact same time that Alex Jones sets up shop. And then again, as I've said before, look at all of the stories, the breaking stories put out first by Alex Jones and InfoWars on the alternative media, whether it's by emails blasting out to disseminated by so many people. When you see InfoWars on it, you follow back, and as I have done, you can connect it to Stratfor. Without a doubt, that's where they're getting their releases. That's where they're getting their information. I hear it now. Oh, Alex Jones has done so much to wake me up, done so much to wake up the people. Wake up the people to what? You see, that there is this big international conspiracy. Yeah, well, that's good, but they are not showing you who they are. Alex Jones is nothing but a person that gets you all dressed up and ready to go to a fancy dress ball or dance, and they're not giving you the address. You're not knowing where it is. So you're getting very disappointed. Well, gosh, there's a problem, but I don't see what the problem is. Where am I going to go? Where do you go with the information, see? Who is the instigator of all of this? Who are we? Who are they, see, according to Friedman? Friedman writes these reports wherever he has to do it. We, his team is we. Who is his team? Well, I just told you. The RAND Corporation, the Illuminati elites, the disinforming elite, the gatekeepers that want the truth of Israel hidden. They want people that have the truth discredited and, if possible, destroyed. Can't get any plainer than that, folks. That's the hardcore truth. The question is, can you handle the truth? Strategic Forecasting Incorporated, aka Stratfor, has a vice president called Fred Burton. Let's look at Fred Burton's bio. His bio is special agent with the U.S. Diplomatic Security Service. This is even higher than the Secret Service, folks. Fred Burton was appointed by Washington, D.C. to assist in the investigation of the assassination of Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin. He is the former Deputy Chief of the Counterterrorism Division of the U.S. State Department's Diplomatic Security Service. Mr. Burton also investigated the killing of Rabbi Meir Kine. He investigated, of course, the Al-Qaeda New York City bombing plots before the September 11th attacks. And, of course, oh yes, the Libyan-backed terrorist attacks against diplomats Sana'a and Khartoum. He was involved in the arrest of Ramzi Youssef, the mastermind of the first World Trade Center bombing in 1993. Oh my goodness. Burton was appointed to the Texas Border Security Council on September 11th, 2007. What an interesting day and time. That was by who? By Governor Rick Perry of Texas. February 2012, WikiLeaks began publishing emails intercepted from Stratfor. The leaked content, again, included emails sent by Burton, which concerned his role in the 2008 American presidential election. The hunt is on, Burton wrote, for the sleazy Russian money into Obama's coffers. But of course, nothing happens about that. Why? Because again, can you spell gatekeeper? Fred Burton said this about Julian Assange. Assange, quote, will make a nice bride in prison. Screw the terrorist. He'll be eating cat food forever. Quote, Assange is a peacenik. He needs his head dunked in a full toilet bowl at Gitmo. Folks, there you have it. You see all this The truth is coming out about their operation, Stratfor and the rest of these agents. There are people I've, again, responded to my show yesterday saying, why do you attack Alex Jones? Why do you attack him to make yourself look better? Hey, I don't care about anything but exposing the truth. Hey, there's just a simple fact of the matter that just like senators involved and Congressman Ron Paul, when you just deflect research and deflect truth as being hate speech, when you deflect truth about Israel, truth about who is Edom and Esau, the conclusion is just obvious. You're not genuine. You're not real. Hey, I am not a member of any Ku Klux Klan neo-Nazi skinhead. I just do my homework, and I study genealogy. I study DNA reports. I study the Bible, not only the Bible, but the Book of Jubilees. I have the Book of Jasher. It's all very, very clear. Somebody is manipulating public opinion and world history. They don't want Anglo-Saxon men and women of faith. They just don't want them to know who Esau and Edom is. That's the big lie, the biggest lie of all time, because you see, when you expose that, when you understand what that is and who they are, suddenly the world's history of wars and conflict and death and destruction suddenly makes sense. Suddenly becomes even more clear, at least to me, that the Holy Bible is much, much more than just a book of historical text and somewhat shaky mythology. So much, much, much more than that. And it confirms one thing strongly, that yes, this world that we live in today is a fallen state. We're in a complete and total corrupt world governed by a fallen angel named Lucifer and his many, many millions of legions, for they are many. The word is legion, for they are many. That's the reality that I've come to face. And we have to really, truly follow Yeshua or not. I mean, it's just simple as that. If we come to a knowledge and understanding of who He is, and yes, He is, not was, He is where He does live. When you come to a full and complete understanding of that, you can no longer sit back and shut your mouth. You can't sit back and say, I'm not going to do what I can to warn my neighbor. I wish sometimes that I were an angel, that I could spread this word out to every rooftop across the world, understanding who the adversary truly is, and how the mainstream media and the world media, for that matter, have very clearly gone along with quoting the propaganda and lie. Oh, if only that could be broadcast and people could just look at the information objectively. This world can change, and change rapidly. See, it's not about wealth and power. It's about, I said before, it's an illusion. Gold and silver and oil and pharmaceuticals, these are things that are just, they're only powerful because your mind has made you believe they are powerful. It's an illusion. Gold is just a very hard and heavy metal. Why should that be any more valuable than a very rare seashell? Whatever your mind has in place that it's valuable, it will be valuable, you see. And so you only give power up your mind. If you think you're under their control, then indeed you are. The experiences of your past, ladies and gentlemen, have not made you what you are today. They have made you believe you are the way you are today. And it is in believing you are the way you are that indeed you are the way you are. So you see how important paradigms and thought processes are in this entire equation. And why they, the Edomite elite, fear greatly anybody that can break through this paradigm of control, this mind control. Get people to think differently, to think outside the box. A true art thinks outside the box. I want you to think with outside the box. There are those that will come out and say, well, he's a phony PhD. Phony as to whose objectivity? See, that's a whole, again, another mind frame. The institutions of higher learning, especially the Ivy League schools like Harvard and Yale, you know, the professors are chosen. Their curriculum is guarded. They will have you believe the world is flat, so to speak. They'll never teach you the deeper truths of history, ever, because they are gatekeepers. See, when I started on my postgraduate work, my doctorate studies, I'll make no bones about it. The curriculum I received let me know, even though I had to pay substantial thousands of dollars for the course, they let me know right up front, this is not the magic word accredited. So I publicly and freely admit, my doctorate is not accredited. And accredited by who? See, that's the point. Who makes the accreditation? This was explained to me. Look at who they are and the history of the Board of Regents that make the accreditations, you see. That intrigued me because, yeah, we're talking about ultimately B'nai B'rith, the top of the food chain of the Masonic order. You see, in the house of Rothschild and the Rockefeller institutions that during Civil War era years began to monopolize the school criteria. See, at the same time as I began my doctorate course, a good friend sent me this manuscript called The Hidden Tyranny, also known as the Rosenthal document. I read that and I tried to discredit it. I tried to prove it wrong. And I had to be honest, I could not. Mind control and conditioning, the part of that that's in the Rosenthal document is very clear. Here, Harold Rosenthal shares the whole Megillah of the conspiracy, if you want to call it that, and how they control the religion in controlling, you see, the seminaries and institutions that train and certify the pastors. Rosenthal said to Harold White in 1976, quote, "Religion must be taught, and through this necessity we have labored and have gained control. With our control of the textbook industry, higher education, and news media, we have been able to hold ourselves up as the authorities on religion and medical science. Many of our rabbis now hold professorships in all the supposed Christian theological seminaries." Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Not only the Christian seminaries, but institutions of higher learning. So how in the world can you get the truth? I mean, the deep, hardcore truth, unless you go through an unaccredited, a non-accredited by the Board of Regents program. So I stand that that's my strength. I don't mind when people say you're a phony PhD. No, phony before who? Man? No, truth is eternal, and God knows the truth. And I leave it there. Thanks for listening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back again tomorrow. Again, pray for safety during these Purim hours and days ahead. God bless you.
I have bought a few bottles of Heart and Body extract. I have to say that it certainly does work.